Hey, what's going on, everybody? Brian O'Reilly has signed with the Nashville Predators in what has been one hell of a few months for them here in the offseason and even before at the trade deadline. So I wanted to go live with this. O'Reilly being one of my favorite players around the NHL for the last few years here, talk about the impact he might have on the Nashville Predators going forward, and also touch on some of the other crazy news that we see happening in free agency. So welcome aboard here. Great to have you here, no matter who your favorite team is. I'm Nick, for those of you who don't know. And yeah, let's talk about free agency here. What I saw, at least on my screen, the last time I could actually get some news here was that O'Reilly's going to be on a 4-year deal with the Nashville Predators. So it's going to be exciting to see what this group looks like. It's a whole different group from what we've seen in previous seasons. So I just want to make sure that we're actually live here. Can people see me or hear me here? What is going on? All right. I think we got some people here. Okay, good. I was a little confused for a moment here. Yeah, so Ryan O'Reilly is there we go. King of Surf. What's going on? Jake, hey, thanks for hopping in here. Preds are stacking up a bit. Yeah, they also signed Luke Shen on a 3-year deal worth worth about what was it, 2.5 million or so. Veteran defenseman, I was surprised to see him get that kind of term. But yeah, let's see if we have more specifics about this. Yeah, Twitter right now is not helping us out very much. But yeah, it's a 4-year deal for O'Reilly at $4.5 million annually. We'll see if there are any special no trade clauses or anything like that. But I wouldn't think so. The Preds right now only have 2 players with a no trade or no move. One of them being, or 3 of them, I think Forsberg might be one of them. But Yossi, of course, and there's one other dude here too. Yeah, it kind of sucks that Twitter's not working right now. Yeah, that deal for Luke Shen, by the way, 3 years at $2.75 million. I actually created a video on a separate channel called Sudden Death Hockey yesterday about the Predators and their cap situation and the Duchesne buyout. So yeah, we're just continuing coverage here of the Predators of all teams. Certainly a city that I enjoy quite a bit. Been to a Predators game myself, so happy to give them some love here. Elijah, what's going on? Yeah. So that's probably the biggest deal so far right now. Pittsburgh Penguins signing Matt Nieto on a 2-year deal at just under $1 million so he can help with their penalty kill if need be. O'Reilly this past season, yeah, he had a bit of a down year. The offense might not be quite at the level it's been at before, but still, of course, faceoffs, he's one of the best in the business. Defensively, he's always been in the Selke Trophy conversation. He's won a Conn Smythe. I don't know if he's going to have an opportunity to do that with the Predators per se, just given where they're at right now. But who knows? That leadership could definitely help kind of mentor some of those younger forwards in that group. Afton, what's going on? Thanks for hopping in here. We'll see what the Dallas Stars do. Matthias Janmark extends with the Edmonton Oilers, a team that's very tight for cap. We got to keep our eye out on the of course, on the Evan Bouchard deal. Kevin Stenlund signing with the Florida Panthers, who also got themselves Oliver Ekman-Larsson of all players. Trotz, if I'm manning the ship, we're not playing around. Yeah, I mean, Trotz has really shaken things up quite a bit as the role is being handed off to him by David Poile. So yeah, O'Reilly, he had himself a productive year last year. Again, a bit of a down year, but even so, he added 16 goals and 14 assists in just 53 games. He missed a lot of time injured, had some good impact on the Maple Leafs as well. So with that being said, my speculation was that if he were to end up anywhere, it was actually going to be Pittsburgh, because they do need a third line center over there. Yeah, Babcock is officially coach of the Blue Jackets. Sports Geeks, long time no see. Thanks for hopping in here. Wheeler to the Rangers. Is that official now? Is that official? Wow. I don't know what they're doing. I wonder what the deal is, but I wouldn't exactly think that was their position of need per se. Curious again to see how much of a role they give to some of their younger players. Listening to deathcore and metalcore. I'm a fan of like the older metalcore, which started kind of in the late, well, a little influence maybe from the Swedish melodic death metal scene, but yeah, of course, the metalcore of like the 2000s is a sweet spot for me. It is official. Blake Wheeler to the New York Rangers. I want to see the terms of this deal. That definitely intrigues me. They needed. I thought they needed a little bit of help in the top six. If they got him at a good price, though, that should be effective for them at least in the regular season. But in terms of being able to compete with those teams like the Hurricanes and the Devils with the speed that they can play at, I don't know if Wheeler would exactly be the ideal augmentation. I'm just gonna update my title here. Blake Wheeler to the Rangers. All right. Anyway, I wasn't expecting to do an actual full stream for this, but anyway. Vernon, hey, what's up? Edmondson going to the Washington Capitals in a trade with the Canadiens. I think they gave up a third and change for that deal. So that is a decent price point, I think, in exchange. So nice job by Kent Hughes. Why get rid of Duchesne? Yeah, gray blue. Good question. Why get rid of Matt Duchesne and add an older, slower player? Good point. I think here, Trotz has been talking about the culture of the Nashville Predators needing a change. So I don't know exactly if there what was wrong per se with some of the players they've let go, but O'Reilly really is one of the better leaders that we see out there, even at his age, right? Leadership doesn't age for that many players. Anyway, further coverage on the Duchesne trade. Just typing up something here for you guys in the chat. So yeah, we do have a second hockey channel now called Sudden Death Hockey. It's going to be a lot more consumable content, commentary on trades and free agency signings and that sort of thing. We'll keep, of course, we'll keep putting out content here on Twisted Wrister Hockey. It's just I wanted to differentiate my content between the two channels because then that way it gets viewership. It can get viewership on either side. All right. Who else we got hanging out here with us? Yeah, that deal, by the way, for Ekman Larson, 1 year at $2.25 million. So at least the Panthers got him for a deal. But is he the kind of defensive help that they need? That's where I'm certainly kind of scratching my head. Although we can't count out that the Panthers have been rumored to be interested in Noah Hannafin and also in maybe another defenseman from the Calgary Flames. So there's been some talk about potentially shopping Duclair over in exchange for those players. They have 1 year left on their deals. So I am curious about that. Yeah, OEL has definitely fell off by quite a bit. JVR to the Bruins. Yeah, that's intriguing, right? It's looking inevitable that they would bring back Milan Lucic. So with the Bruins, is it like, are they trying to run it back again? How do they even have cap space for these guys? I know that they certainly traded Taylor Hall, but even so, their cap situation is very tight. Of course, they're allowed to be over the cap right now. They can always make cuts in during trading camp and that sort of thing. JVR on a 1-by-1. Well, shoot, that's a pretty good deal. Will Florida bring back Gudis? He is a UFA phenom. Good point. I would have hoped that they would have kept him around because you could probably get him on. Well, there will be teams competing for a deal there, but Florida still needs that kind of thumper on the blue line, don't they? At least I think so. But yeah, I think that right now we're looking at O'Reilly, kind of the biggest name in free agency. But yeah, Wheeler, very intrigued by him finding a team out there and finding a contender too. Also, I got to touch on my Carolina Hurricanes with Jesper Fast signing for 2 more years there. They also kept Antti Ranta on a $1.5 million deal. I could see him kind of being the third goaltender here because they do need that number one, considering it looks like they're moving on from Freddie Anderson. But yeah, Oscar, OEL is going to the Panthers. Elsewhere, I got to touch on this here. Pierre LeBrun earlier today tweeting out, the Sharks continue to push Erik Karlsson in a trade. Teams are actually allowed to speak directly to Karlsson's camp. And some of the teams that are interested in him are the Kraken, which I could kind of see it. They have some flexibility with where they want to go, whether they want to buy in now or later on. The Kraken, the Hurricanes, who I don't think that they would need him given They had Brent Burns already, and we saw that didn't work with the Sharks. And the Penguins. The Penguins do have some cap space, although they have a lot of positions they need to fill, in addition to having already signed Long Beach native Matt Nieto. If the Flyers will get anyone relevant, haven't heard anything on the Philly front myself, but I like what Briere's doing so far. But yeah, wow, I can see a tweet here. Welcome to New York for Blake Wheeler. Expectations for the Devils? They re-signed McLeod. Okay, good. I'm glad that they re-signed McLeod. I thought that he was, I thought that just consistently he was one of the better forwards in the playoffs, even though his offensive output isn't huge. I just like his 3-zone play. Any good singers in the chat? I don't know if I'll sing on the spot here, but I do sing a bit. But yeah, anything else for the Devils? They will still have some cap space available, right? They entered this offseason with a fair chunk of change, albeit they needed to move on from guys like Severson, and Ryan Graves doesn't look like he's sticking around there. But yeah, those deals for the Devils, a 2-year $1.35 million annually for Nathan Bastian and $1.4 million for Michael McLeod on 1 year. Also, the Blake Wheeler deal comes in at only an $800,000 cap hit. So great move there from Drury, actually. When you can get that kind of value, even though Wheeler has fallen off quite a bit, not bad. Blue Jackets need centers. Yeah, I mean, if they want to be competitive right now, certainly, although I am curious to see what happens with Adam Fantilli now. You sing a lot too. Awesome. Now, do you also growl? Do you scream? Anyway, you were talking about metal earlier. I've got a growl. I can't scream though. All right. What other moves are happening out there right now, guys? Okay, Jonathan Quick to the Rangers is official. So the Rangers' idea of getting better is getting older, apparently. Stars need to go all in. They've got flexibility. You probably have heard me talk about this, right? They're a team that could be built to win now. And also, they have, their best players, not even in the primes of their careers, right? So down the road, once you add in somebody like Logan Stankoven, for example, one or two of their prospects, it's not the top prospect pool in the NHL by any means, but they have some good talent there to support already what's a good core. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how the Stars, how competitive they want to be right now versus, 3 or 4 years from now. Could he move to the Sharks as part of a deal? I wouldn't think that the Sharks would want to take on Nylander's contract per se, because the prime of his career would be kind of wasted with a team that's going nowhere right now. They're not going to be anywhere near the playoffs for at least 3 years. So personally, I couldn't see that happening. Although I got to say, the Sharks have done a good job of building up their prospect pool at wing in this draft specifically. So that's not going to be as big of a position of need. For the Sharks right now, it's about cornerstones on defense. And they also need a franchise goaltender. A lot of work still to be done here. All right. Let me know, hey guys, let me know if you hear about any other big moves happening out there. All right. Just do that. What is Shen's cap hit? I think I saw it at $2.75 million over 3 years. That to me is kind of steep. I mean, Nashville had the cap space though. So, and the cap is going to rise. Let's see here. That O'Reilly deal, by the way, do we have O'Reilly's contract, by the way, doesn't have any special provisions. So it's all base salary. Just given their cap situation, they were able to do that. And there's no trade clause or anything like that. So if they want to move him to another contender eventually, they're more than welcome to do that. JT Compher, good point there, Landon. Yeah, Compher, he's coming into free agency at the right time. He had a great season last year, and I've always liked him quite a bit. Um, so who could use some depth there? I look at the Penguins maybe because he could be a third line center for them potentially. I think JT Compher and the Penguins makes a lot of sense actually. Not to mention, oh wait, no, never mind. I was thinking of Kerfoot. Where is Kerfoot going to sign anyway? Ryan O'Reilly surprises you. Yeah, they thought they wanted to be a faster team. I thought so too. At least they wanted youth. But again, it's about for them. It's the culture. Trotz has talked about that. They've got themselves a new coach with Andrew Brunette, so they wanted to do some house cleaning. And O'Reilly's more of it's more about what he can offer, probably defensively and also just mentorship wise. You can also rap. Nice. When I was at the end of my time in college, I used to write rap songs. I had like this cheap ass keyboard, and I even put guitar solos in my songs. As crappy of a guitarist as I am. All right, cool. All right, they got David Pagnotta on NHL Network right now. Again, Joel Edmondson acquired by the Capitals in exchange for a third and a seventh. That's a good haul for Kent Hughes. Nick Toons, nice. Guys. I got to throw this down in the poll here. We need to put up a poll right now, even though it doesn't have anything to do with free agency. Best 90s Nicktoon. All right, we got to do this one. All right, we got Rugrats. You got to have Doug. Let's see here. What's another good one? Hey Arnold and Ren and Stimpy. All right, definitely vote in the poll there for anybody who grew up in the 90s. This is not free agency, but Mike Babcock to the Jackets. Thoughts? That actually does kind of puzzle me a little bit, just given how his tenure in the NHL came to an end in Toronto. I guess they just want somebody to whip those players into shape a little bit. And now that they have a couple of good defensemen, in the primes of their careers, I think they want to go for something here. We'll see if their goaltending can improve, though. Tarasov, don't forget about him in between the pipes. We'll see how much opportunity he gets there if Mersley can falters. All right, Afton. Well, come on one of our member streams sometimes, and I'd like to hear it. All right. Yeah, OEL. At least it was at an affordable cap hit, but OEL again. I don't know why they wanted to improve their defensive play with him. Ethan, what's going on? All right. Yeah, of course, we got the situation in Calgary with a couple of UFAs to be. That was another one that I touched on my second hockey channel, Sudden Death Hockey. Wheeler at 800K seems way too low for someone of his skill. I think it's a great buy. Yeah, I wonder who the other suitor teams were out there. I wonder what other teams were trying to court him, let's say. Because the Rangers, again, I just don't know if they're built for that long-term success in the NHL right now. Again, really curious to see what happens with Kakko and Lafreniere and Hedel, what sort of role they have in Peter Laviolette's system, because then that's going to have a little bit of influence as to where Blake Wheeler lands in their lineup. I would think he's going to be probably on a third line at worst. Who should trade for Hellebuck? God, I'd love to see the Senators land him, or even the Sabres for that matter. But then again, they're going to put a lot more stock in Levi. But yeah. Well, thanks, Ethan. Hey, I appreciate that. It's kind of you. I'm doing everything I can to give you guys as much good content as I can here and on my other channels. So we do have 2 other channels. You can see information about that in the video description. But yeah, getting back to Hellebuck, again, he only has 1 year left on his deal at a very affordable cap hit. It's like $6 million or 6.5 at the most. So again, I would think that maybe the Senators, if they're confident they can get to Brinkett, to a different team and free up even more cap. A Carter Hart trade coming in. Yeah. Let's not forget about him. It's a big market for goaltenders. Guys, let me know if you hear anything else on Twitter. Flying Fluffy Hockey tweets at me, seriously, Twitter, WTF. You guys are going to be my sources. Freddie Anderson, 2 years at $3.4 million. To which team? To which team? Freddie Anderson? That's a big signing. Anderson. Let's go Isles. Oh, okay. You changed your picture, I think, recently. Whoa. San Jose Sharks willing to retain on whose deal? Carlson? Come on, David Pagnotta. Give me the good news. David Pagnotta on NHL Network right now. He stays in Carolina. Interesting. I love the Hurricanes. I think it's a good deal for sure, but this for me indicates that Kochetkov has to step in and have a bigger role. It's Anderson's net. I know they just signed Ranta. And their goaltenders are on affordable deals, but these are guys with extensive injury histories. And I mean, even though the Hurricanes have improvements they can still make to their forward group specifically, I just think that they're going to probably need that goaltender who can just steal a series for them. And Anderson is a good goaltender. I just don't think that he's a great goaltender that you can ride in the playoffs. I know his goal saved above average was good, but again, I look at that game 4 against the Panthers. That whole team didn't show up that game for the most part, and Anderson didn't make it any easier for them. But anyway, maybe I'll make a separate video on the Hurricanes. Or maybe I'll just recap each division or something like that. Your Canadian friend knows Drake. Huh. How does that go down? I mean, because Toronto's kind of a big city last time I checked. Korpisalo. Ooh, that's interesting. Jonas Korpisalo, after a good campaign in Los Angeles to close out the year, that's a good chunk of change for him, especially given where his career had been before he went to the Kings. That's a big buy for them. I'm not sure if I'm completely sold on that. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup this coming year? All I got to say is we can't count out the Knights. They've held on to their most important players. And look how good Eichel's been. And how good Stone was after coming back from back surgery again. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but you can't count them out. I'm really intrigued to see what the Avalanche continue to do. I think Joe Sakic has had a good offseason so far. But again, they need more help. The Johansson trade, I really like for them. But they could still use a little bit of help at the wing position in the top 6, given Landeskog and Nichushkin's situations. Wow. I'm surprised that Ottawa took that big of a game, rolled the dice that big on Korpisalo. What else we got going on here? What about the Kraken? Yeah, Kraken have a lot of cap space to play with, and right now they're one of the interested teams in Erik Karlsson. Seattle, they also will likely not. They didn't qualify Daniel Sprong. They could still re-sign him, depending on what his qualifying offer was. But yeah, Ron Francis has kind of like Dallas in a sense, to a lesser degree, I would say though. The Kraken are in an interesting situation because they have $20 million in cap space. They still have to sign Vince Dunn. That's their big signing. I would like them to bring back Will Borgen. I think that he's been playing very well for them as kind of like a depth defenseman. So yeah, they have cap space. Now, do they want to, spend all of that on free agents? I don't know, because this is a team that, while I like, Beniers and McCann is in the prime of his career and they get Dunn signed, but they have a lot of veterans right now, not too old of veterans, but they do have a lot of veterans who I think this last year, you basically got out of them what you could maybe expect next year. I don't think they're going to be any better than that, though. So that's why I think that if they're going to be a competitive, an even better team going forward, it has to be with more young elite talent. And besides, those guys are going to be off the books in like 2 years, right? So I wouldn't want to. They met when Drake went touring in Oklahoma. Wow, man, what a small world, huh? Dallas has 40 million in cap. No, not that much. They have their cap situation is tighter. It's not horrible though. They're at $5 million right now. That they do need to sign Delandria. He is an RFA, but everybody else is signed for next year, so that's not bad. I'm surprised that they didn't buy out Suter yet, but they do have another buyout window where they can make that happen. Anyway, if anybody's coming into the stream, say hello. We are fans of all teams here on Twisted Wrister Hockey. So, of course, always appreciate having new faces here. Yeah, Phenom. I would think so, Phenom. That's a good point. Kochetkov has played well in his limited role so far. I mean, but the thing you have to remember with the Hurricanes is the defense is so good that they can make any goaltender look good. Like Petr Mrazek was actually really good as a Hurricane, and Ronta's numbers are respectable as well. But yeah, I would think that they still have faith that he can be part of that future going forward, considering the goaltending. Those guys are getting up there in age. They're in their mid-30s. Yes, Burakovsky played well for the Kraken before he got hurt. That's a good point. Now, the thing is, though, is like they still need that guy who's going to be a complete gangbuster, right? Someone who's going to put up 30 goals and 50 assists. Kochekov's only 24. Yeah. So, yeah, having Burakovsky back in the lineup will help them. But the thing is that really with Seattle, you could plug any of those forwards for the most part. You could plug them from the first line to the third line and even to the fourth line. Their scoring was so evenly distributed. But again, I still think you need some top end talent to kind of complement the depth in that lineup. Eric Johnson signs with the Sabres 1 year at 3.25. That's a good deal for him. I like this overall. I think that the Sabres could use a little bit more help, in their bottom six, or well, I guess they're like third line pairing, and you have a veteran like that there. So that's good. Yeah. Happy free agency day, Trevor, and happy Canada Day to all our friends north of the border. And of course, an early happy 4th of July for all of our Americans. Penelope, you're not a fan of the Yzerplan right now. Yeah, that's a team that, Yzerman said during the draft, they're still in their rebuild. I mean, I'm just kind of chomping at the bit. I want the Red Wings to be good. That's the NHL I know, right? With the Red Wings in the playoffs every year and being a Stanley Cup favorite, but they're not ready to take that step just yet. They do have cap space. They did sign Klim Kostin, which, he was a very affordable signing for them, and he came on strongly with the Edmonton Oilers. So that I like just fine. They have the Red Wings right now, $26 million in cap space. Actually, you know what I'll do? What I'll do right now is I'm going to put up my cap friendly window on my computer here. So then that way you guys can follow along with me if you'd like. Radko Gudas to the Ducks. Wow, that's a good contract for him. Interesting. The Ducks, huh? 3.25 for corruption. Afton, I have heard that song before. Yeah, I'm the extreme metal I'm into is more like old school, deicide, that sort of thing. Yeah, I have heard that song before though. I mean, that to me is just like, I don't know, this down-tuned guitars like that. It only works to a certain degree with me. But anyway, we can have a separate conversation about that. Or as Derek Zoolander says, I'd love to continue talking about this conversation another time. Yeah, Sabres are set up well for next year. You can see them making the playoffs. I mean, again, if they're not leaning on Levi too much and they have a good 1A goaltender, then I would almost predict them to go to the playoffs right now. But yeah, it's exciting to see them, coming back and being competitive and culturally they've, turned things around there with Granato, and they bring in Alex Tuck. They've got these, young wingers who are really taking big steps forward. Middlestead took a big step forward last year. Dylan Cousins is going to become a great second line center in the NHL. Minnesota or Dallas, asks Trevor. San Jose has only signed Mackenzie Blackwood. They kept him at an affordable deal. Dallas, yeah, I don't know the latest on these teams, but we can definitely stay tuned to see if anything comes for it. Let's see here. Do I follow MLB? Mostly just my Giants, but if they're competitive, I'll follow the MLB a little bit more. Great win they had last night against the Mets. I'm sure that's your team. Oh man, what a tough year to be a fan of theirs. Sabres, within the next 2 years, they're going to make the playoffs. I would think so. Korpisalo to Ottawa. Yeah, I'm surprised that he got that kind of a deal. That's a big deal, considering he's kind of faltered the last couple of years, but he did turn things around well with the Kings, especially in the regular season. I'm kind of surprised that LA didn't keep him, but maybe the price was too high. Red Sox. Okay. All right. So here's what I'll do, guys. Let me pull up my screen here. Yeah, we can go to Cap Friendly. All right. So here's the Red Wings, because Penelope had talked about this earlier. I don't know if Penelope is still around, but let us know if you're still following us here. But yeah, here are the Red Wings with $26 million. And as you can see, right, you look at this column here, what's this, 2023-24, and they've got everybody signed. So they're in the mix for possibly Alex DeBrincat, but Yzerman, he doesn't want to be overly aggressive right now. Reimer to Detroit on a $1.5 million deal. Reimer was bad last year. It wasn't just his defense. He was bad. The year before, he was great. So I'm not so sure if I like that tandem of Husso and Reimer per se. I mean, they have more money if they want a better goaltender. Yeah, in baseball talk, I like what Bruce Bochy's done with the Rangers. So good luck to them. You liked how Ottawa was playing at the end of the season? Yeah, I generally think so too. And even without DeBrincat, they could still be a playoff contender, I think. If Korpisalo, can build on the momentum he had with the Kings there. You like the Blackwood pickup? Hey, good deal, right? Only trading away a 6th rounder to get an affordable goaltender who, he's had good years in the NHL. It's just that it's been a little while. So, I mean, at the very least, if he sucks, that's good for us because then that betters our draft position for next year. Your dad went to Boston University. All right. Well, shoot, that's the home of a lot of San Jose Sharks alumni and prospects these days. Although Will Smith will be playing at Boston College. All right, guys, let me know if you see any other big news out there. Oh, wait, I can't do that. That would be copyright infringement. I can't do that. Probably what I'll do is I'll drag this over to my other browser window. There we go. That way I can follow along. All right. Yeah, guys, let me know if you see anything else out there. Cap Friendly is also keeping track of this. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these moves here. I'm going to actually enlarge my screen so you can see it better. Let's take a look at these moves. All right. So Morgan Geekie, from previously with the Kraken, a 1-year, a 2-year, $2 million contract with the Bruins. That's a good deal for Geekie. He had some moments there with the Kraken, but he didn't, the consistency, right? He didn't quite fit. Well, he did fit, obviously. He stayed there for those 2 years, but just game by game, you didn't get the sense that he was going to be like an elite third liner per se. I don't mind him, but that's a good contract for him. Radko Gudas, that's a big signing for a guy who's 33 years old. I mean, I don't know if he's going to expect to, win a Stanley Cup with Anaheim at the end of his time there, because I don't know if he'll stick around. But yeah, that's a good chunk of change. Gudas to the Ducks. Yep. You got a mystery jersey on Monday. Awesome. Glad that the hard work is gonna reward you there. Eric Johnson, $3.25 million to the Sabres. I think that's a good fit for Buffalo. Pitlick to the Rangers, one way $787,000. Kyle Burrows to the San Jose Sharks. There he is on a 3-year deal worth $1.1 million annually. Sharks need help on defense. Their cap is not great, but it's not bad. So that's a good value signing. I just don't want them. I mean, at the least, they can just, cut him at camp, right? So there's that. You have Cam Talbot signing with the Kings as a little bit of a reinforcement behind the net at $1 million. But then again, the Kings, who's going to start for them in net next year, right? I wonder that. Corpusalo again, 5 years, or excuse me, 5 years at $4 million annually to the Ottawa Senators. Gudas's beard will carry the Ducks to the playoffs. Good one. Coyotes moving soon, hopefully. They were very adamant that they have some plans in place for arena proposals. Like they had communicated that at the draft. That's about as much as I know. Kind of an interesting first round for them at the draft, though, don't you think? All right. What else we got going on here? So Nathan Bastian and Michael McLeod stay with the Devils. I especially like them keeping McLeod. Van Riemsdyk to the Bruins. That interests me, considering that was just at $1 million. Lane Peterson to the Oilers. Oh, on a one-way deal? Peterson, I saw him in San Jose, and he was not good. Connor Brown. Connor Brown signs with the Oilers. A one-way deal at the cap hit is only $775,000. So that's great for Edmonton, but he got himself a good chunk of change, $4 million. So the Oilers are trying to find some value out of some of these free agents so that they can kind of, still build a fourth line there. But man, they still need to sign Bouchard. It's a very tight cap situation for Edmonton right now. Matter of fact, let's go to Edmonton, where we can see that, they have $5.6 million. Their draft capital doesn't look horrible in terms of trying to make trades. And right now, Ryan McLeod remains unsigned. Just from a defensive standpoint, I like him a lot. Bouchard, though, is the big contract. And I think that especially after the playoffs, he should get himself a good payday. Phenom says, looks like the Yotes are optimistic that they can get a stadium deal done with private money. Yeah. Good luck to them on that front, of course. More deserving of having a team again, Quebec, Hartford. I mean, I'd love to see an 8th team in Canada, right? I like the idea of the NHL sticking with 32 teams, 8 teams in Canada, personally. And Hartford, I mean, they have a lot of teams that they can cheer for just in that vicinity, even if it's not the same as cheering for the Whalers back in the day. So, I mean, I would have to say Quebec, even if they weren't the Nordiques. All right. Oh, by the way, how did our poll do? Oh, we got 18 votes. Okay, Rugrats at 56%. Wow, a lot of Rugrats fans. That was kind of my favorite for a while there, but I've got a big soft spot for Doug for sure. Connor Clifton to the Sabres. That's a good deal too. Actually, I like what the Sabres are doing defensively. Vernon throwing up the $5. Hey, thank you so much. That's wonderful of you. Feel free to let me know if there's any questions you have. If you want me to talk Capitals, I can take my best stab at it. Speaking of which, we got to see if there's interest out there for Yevgeny Kuznetsov, right? He's got 2 years left on his contract at $7.8 million. And here, I'm going to throw that up there. Thanks, Vernon. Always appreciate your support. Send you the website I'm looking at? Yeah. That's on capfriendly.com. So here's a free agency tracker. There you go. You want to get rid of Carlton? Hey, Samantha, what's up? Happy Canada Day, by the way, to all of those who celebrate. An $875,000. Is that the cap hit for Connor Brown? I'm seeing 775 here on Cap Friendly, which, I mean, again, that's a really smart. Like Ken Holland structured that deal very smartly, just given their cap situation. But yeah, Erik Karlsson's going to be tough to deal. It's looking more difficult. Louis, what's going on? Happy Canada Day, former Canadian, honorary Canadian, I suppose. Canucks, by the way, Canucks signed Carson Soucy. Really like the signing. I've always liked Soucy quite a bit. At the least, he's going to give you more physicality defensively, but I do like his game in his own zone personally, especially stretching back to his time in Minnesota. You're a Leafs fan and you're jumping ship to the Sabres. You know what? Now's not a bad time to do that necessarily. It doesn't look close in terms of negotiations for Austin Matthews. I keep waiting for a real update on that front, but they don't seem to have a deal in place. Vinny Lettieri. When was the last time Vinny Lettieri? Vinny Lettieri still plays in the NHL? He played in one game this past season. Okay, for the Boston Bruins. I had no idea. Excuse me. Finally signed Soucy. Yeah, I like that signing for Vancouver. All right. Hey guys, I got to take a quick restroom break. Stick around though. I'm going to play a trailer from my newest video on Sudden Death Sports. I just released that today. So hang tight for a little bit. I'll be right back. This is a trailer for the most cursed teams in sports on Sudden Death Sports. So there we go. I'll be back as soon as I can. Many of the greatest stories in sports have come from breaking decades-long curses, but there are some professional franchises that, if you're a real diehard, will take years off your life. They keep coming up with new ways to rip your heart out. They're mired in controversy, and they trade away your favorite players. And meanwhile, hated rivals, pompous expansion teams, and those lightning in a bottle lucky sons of bitches have a taste of what you've craved for decades. Are you a fan of a team like this? As someone in the same boat, I've wondered what you have. How do we keep choosing to support these teams? How come those other fans that have it oh so good not had to suffer like us? Why can't we just win it all once before we're wiped off this earth? Cheering for these teams, only to experience the same result year after year, has driven us to the point of literal insanity. These are the most cursed teams in sports today. All right, thanks for your patience there. Again, guys, that is on one of our other channels called Sudden Death Sports. We also now have Sudden Death Hockey for different types of hockey content than what I put out on Twisted Wrister typically. So I will show you if you haven't seen it already. Yep, I'll just do this here in the old Chatterooski. All right. Check out our most cursed teams video on Sudden Death Sports. Here, there you go. Nuggets were on that list until they won it all. Yeah, Phenom. Dude, the NBA was the hardest for me to narrow down because like I choose 3 finalists for each of the 4 main leagues. And yeah, the NBA, it was really hard, honestly. The contract for Soucy, Dr. Seuss, it hasn't been officially documented here on Cap Friendly, so I can't say exactly, but you know, I think it's like what, like a $3 million annual salary or something like that, which is good. About O'Reilly going to the Predators, I thought they were playing a joke on you. Yeah, I mean, the Predators have been so surprising. You know, that was the heart of the stream when I started this. The Predators have been something else, right? Look at all the players that they've lost just since the trade deadline. I mean, that's, you know, they put Tolvanen on waivers before that, but right, And then they lost what? Granlund. They lost. I'm just trying to think from the regular season. Uh, they lost Ekholm. Like those are two big players. They lost Niederreiter, and they traded away Tanner Jeannot, who I thought was going to be a big piece of their franchise, just given what he did in his first full season there. And they get a haul in return. And then at the same time, or just after, they trade Johansson. They get him off the books, and now they buy out Duchesne. And you think they're going just like kind of a tear down. They have the assets, they have the cap, right? If they want to be competitive in just a couple seasons. But at the same time, then they bring in Ryan O'Reilly. It has to be this mindset that Trotz has about changing the culture of the organization and bringing in Andrew Burnett as coach. And so they need that leader on the ice for some of those younger forwards because they're young forwards. Obviously, they need a bit of a mentor out there. So I love O'Reilly quite a bit. But yeah, it's an intriguing signing. And fortunately for them, they won't be on the books. Or excuse me. Fortunately for the Preds, there's no trade clause or no move clauses. So O'Reilly, if he needs to be moved at any other point, there might be suitors out there. And with the cap situation for Nashville, if they need to retain salary on O'Reilly, if they decide to move him somewhere else, they could do that too. All right. Reimer with Detroit. Yeah. I mean, they're almost going for a top 10 pick again next year, considering I'm not the biggest Huso fan. As a 1A, maybe, but nothing more than that. Where you at, Dan? Is DeBrincat a Red Wing yet? Yeah, I haven't heard any serious offers or anything like that. By the way, Twitter is not working, is it? Nope, Twitter's not working. Great. We got Nick from Windy City Hockey. All right, back to the grind here. Yeah, Reimer in Detroit after a bad year with the Sharks, and somebody who does have quite an injury history himself. Yeah, let me know if you hear about any more signings, folks. Yeah, and feel free to drop your questions in the chat here about trades, free agency, all that good stuff. Talk Bedard. I mean, what else is there to say about Bedard? He's a consummate professional in the making. He's got one hell of a shot. And now he can play with Taylor Hall probably, and maybe Lucas Reichel. I don't know about this year, but Reichel will have the opportunity to make the club, I would think, in training camp. So, I mean, they also bring in Nick Foligno there, so they wanted some veterans to and Corey Perry. Corey Perry on a $4 million deal gets to go to the Blackhawks. So he's going to have some of those veterans to kind of show him the way. I think that's good because the Blackhawks otherwise are kind of building their team from the ground up. Twitter's working for you? Lucky dog. Yeah, because when I go here, let me see. Twitter has not been particularly kind. I was getting the notifications on my phone, and now let's see. Yeah, Twitter is still not working on any of my devices. Kind of sucks. That's bad. Okay. Joel Hanley extends in Dallas 2 years at under $1 million, really, for kind of a 6th or 7th defenseman. Again, we'll have to keep an eye on the Dallas Stars to see if they buy out Ryan Suter. You take Goldberg over him? Yeah, Reimer 2 seasons ago was great, and then this year he was bad. Granted, injuries have something to do with it, but yeah, he did not look anywhere near the Reimer from previous. Yeah, Twitter is just not being very friendly to us, is it? All right. Yeah, let me know if you see anything else, guys. I think I'm gonna restart my phone just for a better chance to get Twitter up. All right. Yeah, guys, let me know what other questions do you have for me? Banners. Yeah, there we go. Wanted that one. Oh, yeah, yeah. Thoughts on Mackenzie Blackwood, Mac Black, return of the Mac? Yeah, the Sharks got the deal done. So it's a 2-year deal at 2.5 million annually, which if he's going to share the net, I think that's good. There we go. So Mackenzie Blackwood started his career very impressively. Oh, you got to go to the 2019 draft. That's pretty rad. I want to go to one of those one day. Okay, so look at these first 2 years for Mackenzie Blackwood. In his early 20s, not to mention, in his first 70 games, he had a 916 save percentage and a 2.72 goals against average and 5 shutouts. That would be toward the top of the league if you prorate that to, well, actually, goaltenders don't play 70 games a season. But even so, those are really good numbers. And let's not forget, New Jersey was a bad team at that time. So for him to put up those kinds of numbers is fantastic. Even his quality start percentage is respectable. His goal saved above average is 12.5. But then afterwards, it's become kind of a misadventure for him. He's had some injury problems. In his last 82 games, a 3.19 goals against average and an 897 save percentage, a sub 500 quality start percentage, and that goal saved above average is not looking good. So I don't know which Blackwood we're gonna get, but I'm happy to roll the dice on someone who is only 26 years old. And even if he plays poorly, that's good for the Sharks because then that helps them with their draft position. So I don't mind it. But the Sharks, they will need that franchise goaltender. They need that, and they need a blue chip defenseman in their prospect pool who can actually defend really well, be physical, and that sort of thing. I really like this guy that they drafted in the fourth round, Luca Cagnoni. And I think I'll make a separate video on him because he could end up being one of the better steals of this year's draft. That Gudis to Ducks deal makes no sense. Yeah, at 4 yeah, and not to mention he signed for 4 years. So, yeah, I am kinda scratching my head. This could be also the Ducks, spending to the cap floor. Let's look at the Anaheim Ducks, by the way. This is a team that's been, largely irrelevant for the last 5 years. But, of course, as I got into hockey, the Ducks were getting better and better. So right now, look at that. They have $35 million in cap space. And there were some guys that they didn't tender offers to, but look at that, right? You've got Troy Terry, who they need to come to terms with, and Trevor Zegras. So that's going to take up some space. Will that even bring them up to the cap floor, though? I'm not entirely sure if it will. By the way, if I'm looking up instead of right at you, I'm always used to using my main camera here. So I'm using my laptop this time around. Oh, yeah. Hockey reference all the time. I used to have a shirt of theirs. Um, so, yeah, the Ducks, Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, and Jamie Drysdale. Not to mention Lucas Dostal, who's going to be maybe their franchise goaltender going forward. So they will be able to make room for contracts like Gudis if they want to again keep them at the cap floor. But even so, that $35 million will go down more toward $20 million when you look at Terry, Zegras, Drysdale, and Dostal. At least I would think that we will see the Ducks being able to easily get to the cap floor. Did we say Corpusalo to the Senators? Yeah, on a 5-year deal at $4 million annually, which I do find somewhat surprising for sure. All right, let's see if I can get Twitter on my phone. Come on, phone. Devils trade Colin Miller for a 5th rounder. Wait a second. I thought that was the Stars who had Colin Miller. Oh, they traded for Colin Miller. Okay. And they gave up a 5th rounder. That's not bad. Just somebody in their bottom 6 there. We'll also have to monitor the Kevin Ball situation. He was, I think, a restricted free agent. But yeah, Twitter is refusing to load on my phone here. That's no bueno, my friends. Wait, I might get something here now. Okay. Quick is officially a Ranger. Yep. Milan Lucic to the Bruins. Oh my goodness. I don't know what the Boston Bruins are thinking. How does a team that's already old getting older? I don't quite know what Lucic is going to do to help them get out of the first round after last year. Dang. Yeah, Twitter just does not work on for me. Lucic 1 year, $1 million. I mean, at least it's not they're not like paying exorbitantly, they're not paying like $2.5 million for him or something like that. But even so, doesn't it make you kind of scratch your head just a little bit? For a team that's so tight on cap. Let's look at the Bruins, by the way. Let's look at these Bruins. I'm very intrigued. Okay. Oh, they had $9 million in cap space. Okay. Of course, the Taylor Hall trade being part of that. But look at that. They're missing their first 3 picks in next year's draft. Trent Frederick is an RFA, Ian Mitchell, and Jeremy Swayman. Swayman should get some good change. He should be, I think, at least at $3.5 million. But look at this depth chart next year, right? Your number one center, considering Bergeron hasn't been signed, we'll see what happens, of course. But it would be Pavel Zacha. Now, Zacha did well for them, but if you want to contend for a Stanley Cup, he can't be your 1C. They got Van Riemsdyk in the top 6 as well, after just 12 goals in 61 games. Is Quick at the end of his career? Yeah, I would think he is. Because, last 4 or 5 seasons haven't been particularly good. He was okay 2 years ago. He rebounded a little bit. But yeah, I would think that this is his final ride, most likely. But yeah, the Bruins have to be a little creative here. Yeah, and Blake Wheeler to the Rangers. Let's see if I can pull that up on Cap Friendly here. All right, Rangers are working with $8.5 million right now, projected cap. And Blake Wheeler is on the books, and I mean, only for $800,000. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. But they still have to sign Lafreniere and Keandre Miller, and I think you can easily make the argument that those players are worth that $8.5 million in cap space. Also, you have to consider that right now, Quick is their backup goaltender. Now, Halak actually played pretty well for them last year, but even so, I would think the Rangers would want to play it smartly so that, you could still contend for the division, but Shesterkin wouldn't have to start, 68 or 69 games. All right. Oh, Gustav Nyquist? Where's he going? I'd like to find out where Nyquist is going, but yeah, Twitter isn't working on my phone or on my browser, I don't think. But they were talking about Nashville, so I don't know if that means he could be a Pred. Cap for the Flyers? Yeah, let's take a look. All right, Philly. Big changes, right? They bring in, Danny Briere gets promoted to general manager. And of course, Keith Jones comes in as their hockey ops president. Yeah, Gus Nyquist. Huh. The Sharks picked up someone from Vancouver. Yeah, they got Kyle Burrows on a pretty affordable deal. I don't really care for the term at 3 years, but it's an affordable cap hit, so that's fine. Justin Hall to the Red Wings. Oh my goodness. I guess Penelope was right earlier when she said she wasn't a fan of the Iser plan. But yeah, Nyquist. Yeah, so the Flyers, $10 million in cap space, right? They just traded out Kevin Hayes, which I talked about on Sudden Death Hockey, so don't miss out on that, guys. Sudden Death Hockey, separate channel. But they are consuming half of his salary for the next 3 years. That being said, their cap situation is going to get better and better. They do have a couple of guys who contributed a fair bit for them last season in Cates and Frost in restricted free agency, as well as defenseman Cam York. And they do have a decent amount of change tied up between their 3 goaltenders, I guess. but they got a lot in return for Cal Peterson, so or in that Provorov deal, so I think that that's completely fine. Blueger to Vancouver, Reeves, isn't he signed for 3 years with the Maple Leafs? Yeah, the Canucks are a little puzzling to me. Blueger is a good he's supposed to be what, a good defender? A defensive forward, I should say. Ian Cole to the Canucks as well? Okay. Yeah, yeah, they're making some moves, they are. So, yeah, I think the Flyers' cap situation will be just fine here, considering the state that they're in, right? They're just, tearing things down for the most part. Yeah, Dmitry Orlov is a free agent as well. What was another team I wanted to look at here? Yeah, let's see if I can get the Canucks up here. So, they're basically under the cap now. They were a little bit over the cap, which is okay in the offseason. And right now, Kravtsov is an RFA. Yeah, I don't. I guess they didn't tender an offer to him. They do have a lot of defensemen who are going to be free agents next year. You can see here they get Cole 1 year at $3 million. I think that's a good signing. That's a good contract for him, but he can be a very respectable bottom six or bottom pairing defenseman. Hronik, we'll see if he's part of the vision going forward. Myers, they couldn't buy him out this year, so they got to just basically eat that out. But yeah, they have other. Maybe they'll have another opportunity to bring in even more defensive reinforcements. If Greer can get rid of Carlson for a decent price, it doesn't kill the cat. We're golden. Yeah, I just don't know if we're going to get that much in return. As exciting as it could be for a guy who put up 100 points, if you're paying for Carlson for 4 years at $8 million when he's 33 years old and given his injury history, I mean, that would be pretty risky in and of its own. So for the Sharks, if they want to get something in return, they might have to pay $5 million of his salary the next 4 years. That is kind of steep. I wouldn't mind seeing the Sharks if they can deal Carlson and consume no more than like $4 million of his contract. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, or $3.5 million ideally. You want the Flyers to get Orlov? I mean, he's already kind of he's a little bit older in age. So I mean, you could sign him, but I mean, you wouldn't necessarily he wouldn't have the opportunity necessarily to contend for a Stanley Cup. All right. Hull for 3 years. What? Boy, that does not compute with me. What does his J Fresh card look like? I don't buy too much into that so much, but I do think that I'd be quite entertained to take a look at that. Wow. So he's going to stay in the Atlantic Division. But yeah, the Red Wings, that is a little bit puzzling. That's a great contract for him, though. So congrats to Justin Hull. Yeah, now they're down to $21 million in cap space. And again, they have lots of cap, right? Granted, people are going to say they need to hold on to that, though, if they want to, for example, sign Dominic Kubalik at the end of next year. They're going to have a couple of younger players like Raymond and Berggren as RFAs. And you also will have to, give Mo Seider a contract at the end of next year. So Detroit's not looking to swallow all of that cap, right? Or, blow it on somebody. All right. Let's see here. Any other questions? Because I might need to get to some other stuff. I am going on a road trip to Montana tomorrow, so I have to finish packing up for that. And I might want to produce some more content. All right. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if there's another big deal, I could certainly go live later today, like especially if it's a big trade. So I'll keep my ear to the ground as best as I can. In the meantime, if you can, the Wings haven't been good since you could buy cups. That's true. Yeah, but it even stretches back to, well, yeah, 2015 was like when I think you saw teams starting to make use of LTIR. Orlov to Carolina. Why aren't the Hurricanes spending on what they need the most, which is help at the wing in their top six? I don't get it. I don't get it. They're just trying to get better defensively, which is already too difficult for them because they're so good. All right, guys. So anyway, I'm going to cut out for right now. Please do leave a thumbs up before you go, and see my message here about the latest from Sudden Death Sports. It's the most cursed teams of all time. It's a great video. I do talk about hockey quite a bit on that video. $15 million. Don Waddell, God, Donnie Waddell, what are you doing? $7.75 million. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Anyway, we'll get back to it again soon enough. If I don't talk to you later today, then certainly once I get back from Montana. Anyway, hey, happy Canada Day. Have a great 4th of July, everybody else, in North America watching this. And I'll see you again real soon. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully we can do this again later today, should something crazy go down.